All right, welcome everybody. Streaming live here, Mike Volkan, entrepreneur coach. Ask me any questions you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and wait a couple more minutes and switch my camera view here so we can have a better view of me. I don't know why you'd want a better view of me, but give me a second as I switch cameras here. In the meantime, we'll give us a chance to everyone else to hop on board. If you have any questions about your business or marketing in general, now's a good time to ask it. I go live for about half an hour every other week and talk shop. Let's see. Video settings. I'm going to change my settings, my camera input. Here we go. Now I'm looking directly at you. Perfect. All right. Get this centered here. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching me online live now, I'm streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks to the good people of restream.io. And let me just go ahead and pull up my list of questions. For those of you who don't know, I provide entrepreneur coaching services, and I have a list of questions that I read from. But if you have a question that you want to ask live, that always takes a priority over pre-planned questions, so to speak. So I'm going to pull up my questions here. Give me a second. All right, everybody, you ready to get started? So if you're just joining us, I am an entrepreneur coach. I've built and sold several companies. I've helped hundreds of CEOs, about 680 last time I counted, which was many months ago. I've helped them streamline their business, grow their company, deal with staffing issues, operations. Mostly marketing is where my skill sets come in, but because I've built and sold several companies, I've kind of run the gamut of all different departments at some point. If you have any questions live, I have a chat box here, which will pull in any questions from any of the social networks I'm streaming live right now on. In fact, let me just pull up. It'll be easier for me to pull up my LinkedIn feed, especially if you're on LinkedIn. Okay, let's see here. All right, here we go. Question number one. I'm looking to my right because I'm reading from pre-planned questions. Let me open up this chat. Okay. And I'm going to put type your questions for me here. Here we go. The first question I got since our last live stream is let's go with Emily. She owns a SaaS company near Denver. She says all of my employees are remote. We just started. There's a lot of details here I don't need to read, but let's just say that the end question is, I'm unsure how to price my SaaS product competitively. Excuse me. What factors should I consider when setting my pricing strategy? Okay, so when setting your pricing strategy, a lot of businesses make the same mistake, right? They look at their competitors and they try to see how they can get the lowest. If that's the case, you're going to have low margins and you're going to be unsatisfied with your business. You should be looking at your competitors to see what they're charging, but also see where you can get into what's called the blue ocean. There's a red ocean and a blue ocean. It's metaphorical, but the blue ocean is where there's no competition. The red ocean is where there's fierce competition. They call it red because fish are eating other fish and there's a lot of blood in the water. It's hectic out there. So in the blue ocean, you got free reign to charge whatever you want and say whatever you want within the confines of the law for your marketing and communications. Do whatever you want from a branding perspective because there's no room really doing what you're doing or providing the value that you're doing. It's very difficult and getting more and more difficult to be in a blue ocean nowadays with all the competition. So if you price your SaaS product, see how you can move from the red ocean where you're highly competitive with other companies and move into the blue ocean. And the way that you do that isn't by looking at your price first. It's by looking at your value. What can you provide features wise or benefit wise, or even marketing communications wise, like how you say how your product works? How can you provide that that's different than your competitors? What can you do that's different than your competitors that will add value to that price that people will be willing to pay for your services? Okay. But you can start with your competitor pricing as a starting point and then increase it upwards from there if you're able to get more and more into that blue ocean. Make sense? Good question. Thank you for sending in that question, Emily. The next question I have, um, hmm. Okay, Olivia, who's a freelancer, she does graphic design. She says, I'm new to freelancing and feeling lost on how to manage my finances effectively and bring in fresh leads. What tips can you offer for budgeting and saving as a freelancer? Okay, well, let's start with budgeting, and then we can talk about bringing in leads as a consultant and a freelancer. From a budgeting standpoint, I've worked with a lot of freelancers who, come tax time, they're like, oh my God, I owe $20,000 to the federal government. I don't have that kind of money, and they don't save along the way. So what I do, and what you should do, is every single week, and I even do this more than every week. I do this almost daily. At a minimum, every single week, you should log into your bank account and look at how much revenue you have brought in. Look at all your deposits. Take those deposits and multiply those deposits by 0.35 if you're in the 35% tax bracket. I just like to be conservative. If you don't know what your tax bracket is, just put 0.35. That's very conservative, okay? Because if you work for yourself, you can write off a lot of your taxes. You won't be paying 35% taxes, but that's a side issue. So you multiply your revenue by 0.35. Take that number and put it in a savings account and don't touch it. You can even have a grow interest. I have a business savings account where I earn 4% interest. Okay. Shout out to, well, I don't want to say my bank name. I don't get in trouble, but nonetheless, Google business savings account with interest, and you'll get a lot of blogs. Go to a couple of the top credible business banking accounts. Okay, now that's one of the ways. And also the other way to save for your company, because you are a company, is to not buy stupid stuff. Stop buying stupid stuff. There's a lot of people out there in software that will take your money. There's other consultants who will woo you into like, hey, you should pay me and I'll help you out. Just do as much as you can by yourself first. And then when you get stuck, that's when you should call somebody in to help you. You don't need, fancy high-end software when you're just starting out. So buy the right software that you need to manage your clients. There's a lot of even freebies out there. I know HubSpot, for example, has a free CRM up to a certain, they have certain features and certain contact limit, but that might be all you need to get started. Now, to bring in new clients, the easiest thing to do is get on all these platforms like Upwork, Freelancer, Guru, all those ones that have inherent traffic already, where you can just make a great profile. The great thing about those sites like Upwork, for example, is once you have a profile and it's full of great reviews, you have instant credibility right there. You have your whole portfolio of what everybody else thought of working with you, a bunch of 5-star reviews. It's not like going to a website where those testimonials could be faked and often are. And then you have to prove yourself in order to get them to submit information via a contact form. You don't need to do that on sites like Upwork. That's one of the big benefits that they offer, is that you get instant credibility through your profile. Okay. Hope that helps. Okay. Maria in Chicago has a question about influencer marketing. She wants to know how to incorporate influencer marketing into her strategy to reach new customers. All right. I can give you some do's and don'ts about influencer marketing. First off, there's a lot of software programs that will find influencers, which will save you some time, but you really don't need that. They have their own scores. They say, oh, I'll help you, how easily calculate their engagement, which would indirectly show you how much return you're going to get if you pay them, right? You probably don't even need that to get started, at least until you figure out that influencer marketing works for you. What you should just do is go onto your favorite social network. Let's say it's TikTok, search for a keyword or a phrase and that's relating to your industry or your business. Find out who's coming up on the top of those searches that have good engagement, good videos, are consistently posting all the time, and then you can reach out to them. Okay. Once you reach out to them, you don't say, hey, I'd like to pay you. You compliment them on their posts. Before you even reach out to them, it's a good idea to quote unquote warm them up, like their posts, comment on their posts, even repost them. They will notice if their world as an influencer is social media, they notice who's following them, who's commenting on their posts. So become a regular. Imagine becoming a regular at a restaurant. The waiters start to know you. The cooks start to know you. It's the same thing with the influencers. If you start commenting and liking their posts, they will notice. Now, unless they're mega influencers, right? Like, the biggest one I could think of, Mr. Beast, right? Hundreds of millions of followers. But what you really need to promote your brand are what called micro influencers, those between 10 and 50,000 followers. Those are the best ones. Why? Because if you're a small company and can't afford working with influence at a huge budget, you approach these micro influencers, and usually what they want is great content to grow their audience, because they're trying to become real big influencers, like greater than 50,000 plus followers. So if they're in that sweet spot between 10 and 50,000, you can offer them a free product or service, or even a little bit of cash, a few $100s in exchange for a post, and make that post really engaging. Or they can do the post for you on your behalf. You just give them bullet points on what you should talk about. And you approach them a little bit differently than you would approach those mega brands. You want to start liking their posts and commenting on their posts, but reach out to them with more of a partnership approach rather than just like, I'm going to give you money. Say, hey, listen, I'm a small business, so if you promote this on your feed, I'll put the video of this as a testimonial on my site, and I'll help you grow your social media network grow indefinitely, because I'll be promoting your video on my account and on my website. And they like that because they're interested in growth, as opposed to the big influencers already have enough growth. They're always looking for growth, but they're more concerned with their income, because that's, at that point, if they have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, that's their job. Their job is to collect income. It's not to collect free product or anything like the micro influencers would be more interested in. Okay. The micro influencers are many times trying to make the transition between full-time job, W-9 job somewhere, to social media influencer. So they're in that tweener phase where it's really good because they have your audience, but they're not necessarily looking for a whole boatload of cash. Okay. That was a long answer, but it was a necessary answer. A lot of people approach social media influencing wrong. I have a question about financing here and funding. I'm not into reading that right now. That's could be a long answer, and it's quite complicated. So I'd have to know your individual circumstance. All right, just give me a little thumbs up if you like what you're hearing so far. So just check in who's on the. Give me a little comment. Tell me I suck if you want. I'm open to anything. Anything you want to talk about, just let me know. In the meantime, for those of you who are just joining us, I see I got a good slug of people coming in from TikTok in the last few minutes. So I'm an entrepreneur coach. I've built and sold several companies, and I'm here to answer your questions live. I do this every 2 weeks. Any questions you might have on building a business, an idea you have for a business, roadblock you have in your business, I answer them live here. Okay. I do have a Titan Entrepreneur Group. If you want to join the group, just go to titanentrepreneurgroup.com. That's TITAN. Okay. Let's see what other questions I have here. There's a lot of questions lately like this one. I'm going to read this as an example, and honestly, I'm not sure how I can help it. I'm going to read this. Oh boy. Okay, I'll read it this way. I'm concerned about the rising costs of ingredients and supplies. So I guess you have some kind of food or supplement product. How can I adjust my pricing or operations to maintain profitability? Okay, now the obvious thing there is like look for alternative ingredients or alternative sources. Look for different suppliers, right? All that stuff I'm sure you've thought of before, so I'm not sure I can help. But it all comes down to cash flow, right? So in this case, if not to get political, you're living in a time where inflation is rising. It's expensive to borrow money, or more expensive than normal to borrow money. In the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's typically interest rates about 7% on average, I believe. But still, nonetheless, you have to raise your price. If cash flow is preventing you from making a profit, and the profit is allowing you to run a business that you love, then you have to adjust your pricing. So you say, well, that'll put me more expensive than my competitors. Well, fine. Then adjust your marketing communications, adjust your value, increase this, add a cross-sell or an upsell, increase your average order value, do whatever you can to make that justifiable, that new price, okay? But you can't jeopardize the quality of your product unless you think there's a market for that. If you jeopardize the quality of your product and it starts breaking, you start getting returns, you cannot recover from bad reputation. Okay, just ask Comcast, right? Remember Comcast? Now they're Xfinity, same company. They just rebranded because they had determined at one point that Comcast had that name ComCrap that they couldn't escape from because their customer service was so bad. It's really difficult, if not impossible, to recover from a a reputation that has gone south. So the way you do that is you keep competitive with your pricing, but you also add the value that allows you to charge more and keep bringing more of that profit. Okay. Okay. I'm going to get some more questions here. Thank you for those questions, by the way. Okay, David says, I'm feeling burnt out. What are some strategies for maintaining a work-life balance and avoiding burnout? This is a common question I get all the time. Number one, find out if it's you and the way you're conducting your business, or number two, it's your business. Some people fall out of love of their business. I had grew a really big real estate enterprise once. I mean, I had grown a 15-person or 15 office real estate franchise. I franchised a company, grew it to 5 different states, had 15 franchises, and I didn't really like it after a while. I didn't like the real estate industry. Shockingly, there's a lot of inexperienced people in real estate who are just out for the money. There are a lot of liars and deceivers in real estate. I just didn't like being in that industry. So I exited that. I felt burnt out, but it wasn't me. It was the business. Now, once you determine if it's you or the business, number one, if it's the business, make adjustments to your business. Either exit it, prepare it for sale and exit it, or make adjustments to where you're happy with it. If it's you, there are habits you can change. And there are lots of books on this. Probably the best one I have on my bookshelf right over there called Atomic Habits. It allows you to work more effectively and also focus on the things that you like to do. So a lot of times the reason why people feel burned out is because they spend their day doing stuff they don't want to do. Okay. So the way to do that is the way I tell people is you take a little notepad, monitor yourself over the next week, doing all the things that you don't feel that you want to be doing with your day. It doesn't matter if anybody else can do it or not. I just want you to write that down. Number one, you're going to see if there's a pattern there of, hey, it's all finance related. It's all operations. It's all marketing. And number two, you're going to figure out if you can outsource that. So you might have like 10 things written down and 7 of them, you realize, you know what, this isn't too hard to teach somebody how to do. And that way I could focus on the highest and best use of my time. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, you should feel burned out from time to time. Entrepreneur is a ride. I mean, look at the Titan logo right there. There's a reason why there's a wave in that logo. I designed it like that on purpose because being an entrepreneur is a wave. You have your good times, you have your bad times, you have your easy times, and you have your tough times. So being burnt out is okay. It's just constant burnout. You might as well just get yourself a job if you're going to be disappointed working for yourself, because you have all that stress of working for yourself, producing your own paycheck, producing your own benefits, producing enough hours in the day. If you want to just, stress out about that, just go get a job somewhere, right? So you want to focus being an entrepreneur on doing what you love. If you're not doing that, then what's the point of being an entrepreneur? Okay. I'll take a couple more questions here. Okay, Maria, outside of Chicago, says, why are there so many questions in Chicago? Come on. I have a great business idea, but I'm hesitant to take the first step. How can I overcome the fear of starting a business? That is the toughest part of starting the business, is actually starting the business. Once you get the business going, the ideas are going to start flowing and deals are going to start coming to you because you put that energy out there. And what you attract and what you think is going to start coming back to you. Okay. Once you put that energy out there, I'm not going to get all spiritual on you, but that stuff works because where the attraction is where your attention flows. Okay. So the first step is, if you have trouble starting a business, like you have an idea for a business, think about all the stuff that you are having fear of getting going. That's called analysis of paralysis. Like, what is stopping you? Write them all down. And then I want you to pick the one thing that you think that you can do that'll at least make a little bit of traction. I don't care about making sales or getting your name out there. What is the one thing that will at least get you started to bring that idea into fruition? It may be something as simple as setting up a social media account with that username that matches the company name. It might even just be brainstorming a company name. Okay. The point is, you're getting the process started. And I guarantee you that once you get the process started, your subconscious and your conscious are going to start turning. The wheels are going to start turning in your head. And then those little tasks are going to get easier and easier to do. And then sooner or later, those little tasks are going to turn into bigger tasks. And now all of a sudden you got your full-fledged business. I never really had that issue, to be honest with you. I can't relate. because whenever I have an idea in my head, if I validate the business model, I launch the company. Even when I was 19 years old, I was doing that. But there are definitely times where I feel stuck on a particular project of a company that I don't want to start because of this, this, and this. And what I do is I write it down. Why am I feeling stuck? Journaling is super powerful. Why am I feeling stuck? When you see that and it gets out of your head and onto paper, you're breaking it down and organizing it essentially. And then you can logically look at it piece by piece instead of as a whole. When you look at something as a whole, that the bigger the whole is, the more complex it seems in your head, and the more you start spinning your wheels. Okay, so you take that whole pizza pie, for example, and you focus in on just that pepperoni. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just pick off that one little pepperoni. Okay, we got a little start here. I'm gonna take a little bite of this slice of pizza, and then all of a sudden you've got a big pizza out, that's ready to go. Okay, I'm saying that because I'm super hungry right now and I need lunch. But nonetheless, look at things in parts, and that part then eventually becomes the whole. Okay. For those of you just joining me, we got a couple minutes left. I'm going to be talking about business questions and issues you might have. I'm doing open office hours. I run the Titan Entrepreneur Group. My name is Mike Volkin, as you can see right there, Mike Volkin. Titan Entrepreneur Groups helps entrepreneurs grow their company, scale their company, same thing, be more efficient, love their job more, grow their business, right? So that's what it's all about, is growth and profitability and happiness. Okay. Oh, Charles in Texas is struggling to deal with difficult customers lately, which he calls Karens, which a lot of people call Karens. What are some effective communication techniques for handling customer complaints? Well, if they're online, if you're running an online business, one of the things I do, and even this goes to phrasing your emails properly, is I go into ChatGPT and I just paste the email that I want to send, and I say, can you please make this more polite? Because sometimes the way that you word things might seem okay to you, but it's not okay to other people. So what you can do, go to ChatGPT or Google Gemini, type in the response to the email and give a little bit of context. Hey, ChatGPT, you don't have to reference it, but I want to tell this customer that they're wrong, and this is the right way to go about doing it. And here's my response. Can you please phrase this in the nicest way possible? You'll be shocked at how good the answer comes out. And then the more you do that, the more you are training ChatGPT and Google Gemini to talk like you and to emanate your brand. So I would utilize ChatGPT is the easiest way to do it. The other way to do it, which is not so easy, is to hire out your customer service to someone. A lot of times, just because you're a business owner, a lot of times you're going to have to field customer complaints and stuff. But as a business owner, that's something you can easily outsource, right? There's a lot of customer service options out there, freelancers and agencies and whatnot. So there is a certain way to talk to people. There's a certain attitude and attention that you give them. So it is an art form, and it does take some practice. If you are not that type of person, then get somebody else to do that, or rely on ChatGPT to do that for you. And there are custom GPTs on ChatGPT. If you have the upgraded version, there are custom GPTs that can be a customer service rep or agent for you. Okay. And also, if you want to do like a bot, one of our sponsors at Titan Entrepreneur Group is Autobot. Autobot will build you a custom bot based on your brand and your business, and then it can act as a customer service liaison for you. So it can answer questions. So you just upload a list of frequently asked questions as bot, and then it'll be your customer service agent for you. Okay. Shout out to Autobot there. And I believe the domain there is growautobot.com. Let me just double check. Maybe not. Oh, my Growbot. Nope, that's not it. I think it's growbot.ai. One second here. At either way, just ask me. Go to titanentrepreneurgroup.com and just ask me the name of the domain. But if you're a Titan member, just go to the vendor portal and you'll see it there. But it's growautobot something.ai.io. Okay, let's go one more question here, and then we'll log off for the day. Oh, David wants to consider franchising his company. Okay, so he said, "How do I franchise my company?" All right, so this is a near and dear to my heart because I franchise a company. All right, number one, find out if franchising is right for you because it might not be. I honestly kind of regret franchising my company because there are business opportunities you can do in lieu of being a franchise. When you are a franchise, um, honestly, it's death by a thousand cuts, is the phrase. Uh, you have a lot of fees. The state sometimes makes the fees for licenses, and they are a complete ripoff. I mean, literally, a license is you filing a paperwork, and they put it in this cabinet and push it away. And every year you have to pay it. States charge over $1,000 just for filling out um, these quote unquote licenses that they give you that do absolutely nothing. Um, so to franchise, you're going to need what's called the UFD, Uniform Franchise Document. And the most important thing, though, is you need a standard operating procedures up the wazoo. Now, that's a technical name, up the wazoo. The reason why people buy a franchise is because there's a systematic process for doing everything. Look at McDonald's. This is how you make a burger. You take the bun, put it at the bottom bun, and you put the burger on it, put that burger, then you flip it over, you flip it around here, this side of the kitchen, do the fries, and then you charge this amount. Like, you are literally going to be telling them what to do through standard operating procedures and how to do it. And your job will be transforming what you're doing now into selling franchises. So if you don't like the prospects of selling franchises, then don't franchise because that's going to be your job. I went from selling real estate in my real estate franchise, working with clients, being in the field and driving around in houses, all that kind of fun stuff, to sitting in office, taking sales calls, doing lead generation for bringing in prospects who want a franchise, right? And doing a lot of paperwork for the franchise boards. So your job will change dramatically. Okay. So it is a six-figure endeavor. When I paid well over six figures to franchise my real estate company, this was back 15 years ago. It's even more now, I'm sure, and there's even more heavy regulations on it. So I would say don't jump into franchising unless you absolutely know what you're getting yourself into. Okay. I hope this helps. Thank you very much for joining me live, and I will see you in 2 weeks.